Hi everyone, it's Evelyn. And in case you haven't been able to tell by the sunflowers here in the back here, we are going to go over sunflowers today. Now, the sunflowers have been going strong all summer long, right from before the first day of summer, and they're still going strong and will be through the end of September. Not sure how far into October. Part of it is weather dependent. Part of it is just how quickly they bloom is weather dependent. And when I mean weather dependent, I mean if it's cloudy, they will bloom quicker because already as we enter into September, our daylight hours have shrunk. And if it's cloudy all day, that's even less daylight. So they will go into that wanting to reproduce before winter sets in. So then all the ones that I've planted will start blooming quicker and quicker and quicker, irregardless of their height. They're already blooming now at about the 4-foot height versus, maybe 3 weeks ago they were at the 6-foot height. And that has to do with the fact that our daylight hours have shrunk. Now, also the stems are much thinner than they used to be. I mean, even if you look at these, I'm just going to pull this one out. So these, if you look at the stems on those, these are the ones that I harvested yesterday. And if I pull up some of the ones that I harvested today, you can see that it's almost by the day the stems are getting thinner, which is okay. They still work great in a bouquet with thin stems. If I can get that back in there, that would be wonderful. That one's in. And that one's in. Oh, now I've got to change this all up. I don't want that on my face. Having some technical difficulties here. Okay, so we're going to start with Gold Light. Now, Gold Light, this is an orange, is very similar to orange, but it has a light center, and I'll put a picture of it up on the screen. And the reason I'm starting with Gold Light is because I'm just going to do the ones, as we just walked by and jiggled the camera. I'm just going to go over the 5 that I've grown in alphabetical order because there isn't really one that I like better than the other. And Gold Light is earliest in the alphabet. So we're going to start talking about Gold Light. Now, I love Gold Light. That it has, with the center of it being the same color as the outside petals, it has a very almost demure, can't see me, almost a demure look, even though it's quite a strong kind of goldy orange color. Now, if you look at it in bouquets, I'm just going to call it the first bouquet here on my computer. You can see I've got it paired here with Firelight hydrangeas, which in the earlier part of the season are white and pink. As the season progressed, they become redder and redder. But once they get redder and redder, they also start getting some browner and browner petals, partly due to our long heat waves, so I'm not really using them anymore. I've also got them paired in here with poppy pods and with purple marjoram. And even though the Gold Light is a very, very strong color, it doesn't seem to stand out too vibrantly from the other softer pinks and purples, which is what I really, really like about Gold Light. Now, if you look at this next bouquet, I've got it paired with Wanda Scapella, which is a dinner plate dahlia. And even here, because the Gold Light doesn't demand too much attention because of that soft greeny gold center, the fact that it's got a competing yellow to the Wanda's yellow works. And here I've got it paired with, again, poppy pods, and it looks again like with purple marjoram. All my sunflowers, I'm going to do 3 bouquets that I'm going to show you for. So the third bouquet on this one, I've got it paired with Cosmos Double Click Rose Bonbon in color. It's also got some Costa Silver Snapdragons, you can see off to the one side. I've got Cosmos Double Click Snow Puff off to the other side. And just underneath the Gold Light sunflower, you can see what looks like a Spartacus dinner plate dahlia, just poking out from underneath it, but it's off to the other side. So in all 3 of these cases, it's a strong gold, but it's not too demanding, which makes it really, really quite a beautiful sunflower to work with. Now, I did forget to mention, before I started going over the sunflowers, that after I've gone over the 5 that I grow, I'm going to go over a few that I'm adding into my mix for next year. So you have to make sure you wait around to know what those ones are. So let's get on to the number 2 sunflower that I've grown this year. So the second sunflower that I grew this year in alphabetical order is orange, which is the one that's right here. So I don't even actually need to put it up on the screen because I can just hold this one up. Now, as you can see, it's almost the same as Gold Light. It's just that instead of having that pale goldy yellow and with a little bit of green in it center, it's got the dark disc. Now, the dark disc makes it a slightly more in your face, for want of another description, sunflower. But that's okay because it still pairs nicely with flowers, just not necessarily the variety of flowers that the Gold Light does. And the Gold Light actually really pairs nicely with paler flowers, whereas the orange pairs really, really well with deeper, darker, more dramatic colors. And as you can see in this first bouquet, I've got it paired with a Spartacus, which is the large, full-headed dinner plate dahlia in the front. Behind it, I've got an espresso gladiola. I've got the same purple marjoram tucked in and around that, and of course, laurel leaves around the bottom of the bouquet. Now, pretty well all my bouquets are going to have laurel leaves around the bottom of them because I do have to trim my neighbor's hedge as it comes over my fence. And again, as I've mentioned in previous videos, if I'm going to have to trim it, I might as well use the trimmings of my bouquets. But you can see here, even though you can't see too much of the sunflower, how much those deep dark colors relate to the dark center of an orange sunflower. Now, if we look at the next bouquet, we have it, again, we've got it paired with the espresso gladiola, but here you can see the dark center disc of that orange sunflower and how well it responds to the deep dark reds of the gladiola. And then, of course, there's just that little bit of sparkle with the purple marjoram up top and a little bit of poppy pods that balance out at the top of the bouquet with the laurel leaves at the bottom of the bouquet. So for the third bouquet, it's still in the red tones, the flowers that I'm using, but this is Cafe au lait Rose. It's a new one for me this year that I'm experimenting out with. I really like it. I think I'm going to buy some more of them. It's far more stable in a flower than Cafe au lait is. It's a shorter flower too, which is its only problem. But I do that rose color that it is new for me, and it's completely different from any other color. So I really like it, and I love it paired with the orange sunflower. That yellow and that dark disc and that really strong rose color, they all work so well together, even though they're pretty much demanding the same amount of attention in the bouquet, but they play off of each other so incredibly well. And then, of course, I've got some purple marjoram poking out the top. You can see I've got a gladiola around the back of that bouquet. Again, poppy pods and laurel leaves. So after orange, the next sunflower that we're going to talk about is red lemon. Before we talk about the red lemon sunflower, I just want to ask you guys, if you've been following along with me for a while and you haven't subscribed yet, please do. Really appreciate it. Slowly creeping up to that $1,000 subscriber count, and kind of nice to hit it before the year ends. So yeah, if you like my channel and you haven't subscribed yet, please do. And also, while you're down there subscribing, hit the like button if you like the video. If you don't like the video, don't hit the like button. So back to the sunflower. Red lemon. Red lemon is a bicolor, and it's the only bicolor sunflower that I've grown this year. Now, as you can see, it's got the same sort of gold ring on the outside. In this photo, it's kind of a much paler goldy orange. But I'll tell you, back in the heat of the summer, it was almost the same color as the orange. And as we're slowly getting into the fall, that strong orange has softened itself. I much prefer it in the fall as to the summer, which actually works because I did know that last year. So I did not grow red lemon for the first half of the sunflower season. I started the seeds of it about halfway through the season, knowing that I wanted it for later on in the summer and for the fall, but not for the first 2/3 of the summer at all. So for the first 2/3 of the summer, I only did the other 4, and then this one I started getting into the mix about 3 weeks ago, something like that. And I'm enjoying it because it has that bicolor with that sort of like reddish center, reddy brown inside circle in it. Now I like it because it's just kind of much more fun and different to use in the bouquet because of that multi-tone. I mean, even with the two tones of petals, it then goes into that third tone of the dark disc. So as you can see in this bouquet, I've got it paired with, again, Wanda's Capella. I have it paired with some light sunflowers. I think that's a white knight poking up the top. Can't tell if the other ones are white knight or white light. Again, purple marjoram, poppy pods, and laurel leaves. And even though it's a fairly neutral monochromatic bouquet, except for the touch of purple at the top, because it's bicolored, it just adds that sense of depth. If you remove that sunflower from that picture, the bouquet would feel a lot flatter in its appearance. That depth of that red lemon really, really works great in this bouquet. So the next bouquet, I've got it paired with Thomas Edison, which is a purple dinner plate dahlia. And there's a white light sunflower poking up at the top, and either an orange or gold light poking off to the center. And this time, instead of purple marjoram, I've got white marjoram poking out in and around it. And of course, the laurel leaf, no poppy pods, because they would have been done by this time. The poppy pods finished about the same time as the purple marjoram did. So in the third bouquet, I've got it paired with a white light sunflower. They actually make a really nice combination there. You can see just off to the side, I have an orange dahlia. That looks like Keith H. I have Costa Silver sunflowers poking out on both sides. I have both Rose Bonbon and Snow Puff cosmos poking out the top. Double click. I grow the double click variety because the full head of petals means that if a petal or two drops, you don't notice it. And of course, the laurel leaves down around the bottom. Now that bouquet had in it a white light sunflower, and that's the next sunflower we're going to talk about. So the white light, much like the gold light, has that light colored center disc. And again, it has a much softer appearance than the sunflowers with dark centers. So it adds a much softer, more, what's the word I could think of that describes the bouquets that it's in? It makes the bouquets less dramatic and more less demanding of attention, more like if you had the bouquet in a vase, it would make the vase more of the centerpiece than the pale sunflowers. But not everything that's fantastic has to be a demanding character, of which white light is not, as you can see. Now, some people have problems growing the white lights and the white knights because the light petals attract bugs, but I have never found that to be the case. So take that with what you want. So here you can see I've got it paired with Wanda's Aurora. And as you can see, the soft yellow in this and the soft orangey brown pairs so nicely with that white light sunflower. And again, we've got the purple marjoram up top with the poppy pods. In this next bouquet, you can see I've got it paired with AC Ben, which is a kind of a tangerine orange. I've got the double click cosmos, both the Rose Bonbon and the Snow Puff, and of course the Costa Silver snapdragons coming off to the side. The third bouquet, I've got it paired with a labyrinth, the same snapdragons, the same cosmos, laurel leaves, etc. And these are the second flush of snapdragons, by the way. So the ones where you see the snapdragons in are pretty much the second flush, which started a few weeks ago. But here you can see too the labyrinth with its multi shades of salmon, peach, and pink. That light white light sunflower adds that same sort of soft. I mean, this particular bouquet, you can see the amount of undulation and depth that the flowers all create within it. And then the real deep dark colors is simply the color of green from the foliage. Now, the next sunflower we're going to talk about is the other white one, which is White Knight. Before we talk about White Knight, I want to go over just some of the notes that I took on sunflowers this year. I just have to move back a bit because I got my microphone here and I don't want to smack it with my bulletin board. So I started my first seeds on March 16th, and I started blast seeds on July 14th. The first seeds were planted on March 30th, which was 15 days later, so about 2 weeks later. I didn't start the red lemon sunflowers until May 26th, so March, April, May, so 2 months and 10 days later than the first planting. And I was doing my plantings once a week so that I would have sunflowers coming up every single week. I did approximately 100 seeds every week from March 16th up until July 16th. Now, the first seeds that I did, because it's early in the year for us, and again, the daylight hours are less than in the summer, instead of it taking six weeks, is that what they say? It takes 6 weeks for all the sunflowers that I've grown in Pro Cuts. And they're supposed to take like 60 days. That's what it was. 60 days from seed to harvest. Because of our daylight hours were shorter and the daytime temperatures were cooler, it actually took about 70 days, so an extra 10 days. Once we got into the heat of the summer, that shortened to the 60-day period. So there was a tiny little period where I had a lot more sunflowers coming online than normal because the length of time it took for them to go from seed to ready to cut for flowers reduced quite a bit. And then once that little backlog got caught up, then it was back to being a consistent harvest. So those are just the notes that I wanted to share because I wanted to let you know when I started growing them, how many I grew each week, and when I added the red lemon into the mix. I think I might even start the red lemon 1 week later next year, because the first ones that came out still had that harsh yellow, and I don't like it when it's got that harsh yellow around the outside. So I may hold off on them just for 1 more week. But anyway, let's get on to White Night. So White Night, much like White Light, it's exactly the same, except it's got that dark disc center. And here, because of the dark disc center, again, I've paired it with some darker flowers. This bouquet is done much earlier in the season because I got it paired with a Bordeaux anemone there, which is, again, that super deep red that I love. And you can see how well it plays off the dark center of the White Night. I've also got it paired with some yarrow, poppy pods, black button bachelor buttons, which again, you can see at the top there, the black button bachelor buttons, how well they bounce back and forth with the center of the White Night sunflower. And of course, the never-ending supply of laurel leaves. And what else have I got in here that I can see? I have what looks like a Globemaster allium that has started to dry, so it's got more of that dried look to it that I've got in the center. This next bouquet, I've got it paired with Firelight hydrangea. I've got it paired with a White Light sunflower. It looks like there's labyrinth around the back. I have snapdragons and snow bonbon cosmos, and of course the laurel leaves. Now in that particular bouquet, this is where the lighter sunflowers really showcase that when they're paired with lighter colors, they have a much softer, almost more elegant look to the bouquet. So then if we go to the third bouquet, I've got it paired with darker colors. And that's again because the dark disc of the White Night plays off nicely with the darker colors. We've got the Spartacus dinner plate dahlia. We've got an espresso gladiola. We've got the rose bonbon and the snow puff cosmos. And we've got the Costa Silver snapdragons. And that was actually a bouquet that I made this morning. So this is what I've got happening in the cut flower beds right now to make bouquets with, and of course the laurel leaves. Now those are the 5 that I grew this year. I'm definitely growing all 5 next year. Like I said, I might start the red lemon a little bit later. Now we're going to go into the ones that I'm going to add into the mix. Now, these are ones that I grew the previous year, and for whatever reason, well, I know the reasons. I'll go over the reasons. So for example, this one up here, which is red. I love the red sunflower. And the previous year, I used it a lot. I absolutely loved it. But there was 2 reasons why I didn't like it last year. And one of them was we did have our first extended heat wave last year. Nothing compared to the one that we had this year. And it didn't hold up to the heat at all. So I'm really glad I didn't plant that one this year. The other thing is I have a lot of deep red flowers now. I've got about 3 different varieties of deep red dahlias that I can use. I've got my espresso gladiolas, and earlier on in the season, I've got the Bordeaux anemones. So I've got a lot of that color. I didn't feel like I needed a sunflower in that color as well, because it is my favorite color in the other flowers. But that's not one I grew this year, and it's not one I'm going to grow next year, even though it looks great in bouquets. So you can see here in this vase arrangement, I've got it paired with, what's that dinner plate dahlia called? I'm blanking out on it. Macro B, something Macro B. Kenora Mac B, that's the name of it. I can tell it's a Kenora Mac B because of the more semi-cactus shaped petals to the dinner plate. There's also Lindsay Michelle up the top. I've got some globe thistles poking out the top. And it looks like you can see a Wanda Scapella dinner plate dahlia right behind the red sunflower. And you can see it just looks stunning in that bouquet arrangement. And I do really love the red sunflower. It just doesn't hold up to the heat. So now let's get on to the ones that I'm going to add into the mix. So the first one I'm going to add into the mix that I dropped for this year and I ended up missing is Butter Chiffon. And I dropped it because I felt like I had enough yellow with the gold light and the orange. However, it is a different yellow. It's much more of a lemony yellow, like the Wanda Scapella dinner plate, which I'll put up on the screen. Those two are very, very similar in color. And I think because I grew so many other sunflowers last year in color-wise, that I just felt that that was one that I didn't need again this year. I really wanted to focus on the ones that bloomed really well early on in the season, of which Butter Chiffon did not. I added in the red lemon, not because it did well in the season, but because of that two-tone effect that I really loved. And I just added it in later. But I'm going to do the same thing with Butter Chiffon because I really missed that other shade of yellow. I only had basically orange and white sunflowers and then the red lemon, which is still kind of an orange sunflower, but just with a redder center and the same shade of orange, just paler. So I want to add more colors into the mix, which brings up a point. If there's any sunflowers that you have grown that are different colors that you love and you think I might love, let me know in the description box below. Because that is one thing I noticed that I was really missing this year was a variety of colors in sunflowers. But they have to do well in the heat because, again, because of my flower wagon being up on the road and being nailed with the sun. And they have to, I don't want sunflowers with pollen. I want the pollenless variety, which is why I grow pro-cuts. But anyway, back to the Butter Chiffon. It does look really cool in bouquets. You can see in this vase arrangement, I've just got it paired with a lot of smaller flowers. I've got a lot of, this is the year that I was trying out a variety of different bachelor buttons, and I settled on the fact that I only liked the black button ones, but I had tried out 3 different versions of the classic series, some that have like pale pinks to dark pinks, the other one that has pale blue to dark blues, and the third one had pale reds to dark reds. And so I've got a bunch of them in here. I've got feverfew in here, which I don't like using bouquets. It's just too much of a common weed here, and that's how people perceive it. And you can see down close by where that Butter Chiffon sunflower is, I've got an orange ranunculus. And I don't know what else is in there. Oh, I got some dried poppy pods because the green ones hadn't started up yet. That's something that I do earlier on in the season before I start getting green poppy pods. I'll tuck some of the dried ones from the previous season in for that sort of architectural interest. But yeah, you can see that lemon color is quite different from the orange, and it just adds a little pop of something different. And I would like to put that back into my realm of colors of sunflowers that I use in my bouquets for next year. Now, the other one that I'm adding into my mix that I had cut for this year is plum. Now, plum was an interesting sunflower. I had grown it 2 years ago and loved it. It was like one of my favorite, and I know it's a lot of other people's favorite. And it has had that really strong sort of browny, reddy, orangey shades to it. And I just thought it was fantastic. But then last year when I grew it, kind of looked washed out all the time. It had this difference in color to it. I'm going to put the 2 pictures up on the screen. Of course, am looking at my computer. It had really washed out looking leaves, and I didn't really like that. So I decided to cut it from my list of flowers that I was growing this year. I'm going to grow it again next year because one year it would look one way and the next year it looked another way. So there's no reason not to try it next year and see, maybe it'll show up more like the first version of it, which I really, really liked. And if not, well, I can still use them and still fit them in, and then maybe cut them for the following season again. Look at every second year I'll grow it. But yeah, I wasn't really happy with the way it looked last year, and I was really happy with the way it looked the year before. So not sure what's up with that. Let me just show you now. I'll pull up a vase arrangement that I did with it. And this is one of the ones that had the more paler look, but even in here, it still looks pretty good. I've got it paired with Spartacus on one side, AC Loomis on the other, both of which are dinner plate dahlias. You can see I've got a Petra's Wedding ball dahlia up the top, globe thistle, and that's pretty much it for this bouquet arrangement. Now you'll notice a number of my bouquet arrangements from last year had globe thistle in it this year, and I have decided not to grow it this year because it's just too finicky for me. It's popped up anyway because lots of things self-seed and just show up in my garden. And I do love it. It's an absolutely beautiful flower, but it's just so finicky to use in bouquets. Hello, Leela. Hello, Leela. Leela's decided to come and join me. Can you get your head up in there? Usually it's Esri that comes up here. Leela doesn't like climbing up on my lap. Maybe it's because it's a little cooler out today and Leela gets really, really hot in the sun. She's more of a autumn and fall dog. When the sun's out, she just finds a cool place to sit. But I guess she's decided to sit on me now. And Ezra's down by my feet wanting up too, but there's not enough room. Okay, off. Good dog. Off. No. Anyway, I'm going to leave a link to my sunflower bouquet arrangements where I go over in detail what I'm putting in the bouquets and how I put them together. So if you'd like to check that video out, it's right up here. See you next week. Bye.